All right, welcome to this Zinefest interview, because as you can see, we are currently in Zinefest. For some reason, we have dragged a whole bookcase on this beautiful, beautiful stage that we are on right now. So welcome to Zinefest, and here is our Zinefest guest of honor, Sophie Labelle. If some of you don't know who Sophie is, handily you probably are near a computer right now, so you can also Google Google this. But Sophie is a cartoonist originally from Montreal, but right now you are living in Finland. Why did you move to Finland?
Just so I could be closer to Zinefest.
That's good.
Last time I came to Zinefest, it took like 20 hours by plane to come here. So
how long did it take now?
Oh my god, less than 30 minutes.
All right, that's wonderful.
No, but seriously though, I decided to move to Finland from French Canada because it was way warmer here.
Yeah, I like the warmth in here in Finland is one of my favorite things.
No, but seriously, winters are a lot warmer.
Yeah.
And summers are cooler. And
Yeah.
so that's great for me.
Yeah, it's wonderful as a Finnish person to hear someone appreciate our
Warmth.
our like climate or atmosphere. What do you call it? Anyways, you are also webcomics. You're a webcomics author. Like, I think that's the thing most people know you for, but you make a lot of other things too. You are known for the webcomic Assigned Mail, and you are also a novelist who has made beautiful works of literature for young audiences, and you also make several self-published comics. Like this list would go on, but I will like kind of stop here because otherwise the whole thing is just like this is Sophie's like accomplishments in a list.
This is my 6th year doing comics professionally, and I haven't really taken any time off from that. I've been publishing at least 4 books since 2014, and so yeah, that's quite a lot. Usually the only reason I would single out specific books is mostly just because I like the title. For example, Nice Gender, Did Your Mom Pick It Out For You? Just because I like to say the title. That's the only reason.
Yeah. That's actually a really good reason to pick out a certain book so that you can just like see the audience react to it. Not though now we can't see that, but well, you can see me react to it. I had seen that book before. So.
Yes. And can I just say that your living room feels a lot more breathable than Zinefest?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Zinefest, there's always so many people.
Yeah.
I love seeing all the people, but also it's a very small space usually.
Yeah, and also it's like very beautiful when you look in this direction. So let's not turn the camera in any other direction ever. You have a new book coming also, or like a self-published comic called GSA, right?
Yes.
We have it here so we can show it and Sophie can tell you.
While we're recording this, it's still a world classified secret. Nobody knows about that book except me and my husband. And you now.
Yes, I know now. I will go tweet it out right away. No.
So, GSA stands for Gender and Sexuality Alliance, and it's the name of clubs mostly in secondary schools and middle schools, high schools, where LGBT plus and ally people can, gather and just be cool together. And so that's basically what happens in that book. My characters, who are growing older, now go to a school where there's a GSA. And,
and they are cool.
Yeah, they're cool, and they have to do promo for it and make posters and stuff.
That's wonderful.
So I made it out of most of the stories in it are inspired by my own activism from when I was a teenager, and I also included a lot of jokes and stuff like that.
That's always good.
I was also missing all the books that I've made. I was missing a bright pink book. So this is finally it. You know?
So now you can have like a table and have all of the books there, and it's gonna be like a rainbow.
Yes, exactly.
That's beautiful.
Exactly.
I like this. This is like graphic design, peak graphic design.
Well, yeah. I always make sure that, you know, I said that I publish a lot of books in a year. I always make sure that they go well together, because they are usually gonna be the ones that are best stoked.
That's true. Yeah. So, let's get into some really difficult questions. Not very difficult.
Sure.
How did your career started? You said that you did some like activism things in school already.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with comics.
Yeah.
My career started one evening in March 1997, when I was... no, it was 1995. I was 7-year-old, and yeah, I started making comics with my brother and his best friend, mostly about their 5th grade teachers, which I never met, and they became really popular in our hometown. It was a very small town, to my defense. You know, like, there was like 10 kids in that town, so they all knew that we were doing comics.
Yeah.
It was our thing, and yeah, I just really loved that medium. I loved the fact that it was allowing me to study, you know, human expressions, because I really didn't get any of the codes when I was a kid. I was kind of, you know, very clueless about social interactions, and you know, being allowed this space in comics to just understand my surroundings was really great. Just to make sense of everything that was happening around me, and also, you know, people at school, when I was making comics, you know, they would know not to disturb me because they loved when I was doing comics, and they also wanted me to, you know, show them after I was done. So, you know, I was getting teased and bullied quite a lot at school, but whenever I was making comics, you know, I was kind of untouchable. That was great. Gave me like a free pass on a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So you, because of the place being so small, you kind of had like 100% of the audience. Because if there's like 10 kids and they all love your comics, then your audience is 100% of the kids.
Well, there was actually no school. In my town, we would branch out to another town nearby, where people actually didn't... most people didn't know where my town was. Although, you know, it was our school. And so I come from this, you know, mythical, far-off place that even the people of my school didn't know where it was. So it was kind of funny, but there was one street where I grew up, so it was very small.
Yeah. So how did you kind of like start making the webcomics then?
Oh yeah. Well, after I had my anime phase,
we all have had that.
Yes.
What was your anime of the most important anime?
The most important anime, oh my god.
Of the anime phase.
I was consuming a lot of them, but I was particularly fond of anything by Koji Donbo. And you know, Cardcaptor Sakura and the likes, Fruit Baskets, Digicharat stuff, and mostly a lot of shoujo. And I loved Pita 10 too. It's a manga, and that got an anime version.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had that anime phase. It was definitely a phase. It ended. You know, I can like put it in time. It was a phase, don't worry. Don't worry too much about me. But no, I still love anime a lot, and just before coming here, I was watching the new season that came out today of Agretsuko.
Yeah.
So I'm, it's still going on their way, but that really inspired me to create stories that weren't just about my older brother's fifth grade teachers. And
it will totally get some more audience.
But I wanted to create something that would, talk more about issues that I cared about, that had more diverse characters, obviously, and so when I started doing webcomics, it was mostly just for me and my friends around me. I had maybe a whole decade of creating new comics and having them go for a couple of weeks before I get bored of them, and eventually just pretend it never happened and delete everything from the internet. I had many cycles like that, and I thought that the same thing would happen with Assign Mail, which I started in 2014, as I mentioned. But then something magical happened. TERFs. Yes.
They are truly like magical beings, but not from the good end. They're like,
Well, they are quite magical considering they have J.K. Rowling's in their ranks. So, for those who don't know, TERFs stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Fuckers. And they're the people who believe that trans women are tools of the patriarchy to invade women-only spaces.
And they believe that us trans men are like victims who are just confused lesbians.
Yes, absolutely.
But if I was a lesbian, I would be very confused. Like suddenly, oh no, I'm suddenly a lesbian. This is confusing.
So TERFs really got interested into my work. They started, making articles and publishing, blog posts about how my work was government propaganda to turn all the kids trans. And I was just reading that, and I was like, cool. And that really gave me the confidence I needed to keep going,
So they made this whole free, extremely horrible but still very effective marketing campaign for you.
Well, I mean, you don't want TERFs to like what you do,
Yeah, of course.
If you...
But it's bound to be extremely tough to have that much hate, but also it's very effective in getting the good people to notice the work as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And from the beginning, my goal has been to create comics that I would have liked to see, comics that I felt didn't exist, or if they did exist, they were still very underground and not taking a lot of space on the internet. And so my goal was mostly just to create as many stories about trans characters to put out there, because I felt a need for it. And I've mostly been answering what I felt was needed in terms of comics, and that still drives me today. If I create a new story arc, for example, where characters are bound to discuss like specific things, it's because I have seen these things being discussed in real life or on the internet, and every time I see a good discussion happen online, I'm just like, oh, this would make a great comic, not because I think it's funny or, well, I do spend a lot of time creating basically just jokes in my comics, but also I use comics to digest a lot of the things that I read about, that I think about, and just to put it out there so that I can basically just put order and chaos in my head. And so that's I feel that people who read my comics also are there to, you know, they also witness everything that's happening and everything that people are saying or stuff they're reading about, and you know, it just helps a lot of people to see that they're not the only ones thinking about that stuff.
Yeah, and like what I have seen is that it gives a lot of courage to other people, other trans people, to see that there is someone who is like on their side, kind of like on the internet, because there's so much hate on the internet. So it's wonderful to see someone who is like on their side, you know.
Well,
I mean, on our side, of course, because it's also our own side, you know.
Well, a lot of trans people hate me because you know, I don't see myself as you know, trans martyr or a trans celebrity, because well, I'm very critical of a lot of stuff that I see within our own community. You know, well, most of my friends are trans, and so that makes it that you know, not all of us are woke, or you know, there's still a lot of work to be done within our own community. The amount of racism I see in trans communities, for example, or even, you know, internalized transphobia within our communities is very much prevalent. And I grew up, you know, the first trans group I ever attended was blatantly transmedicalist, and you know, would basically shame any trans person who wasn't actively pursuing surgeries or hormone treatments, and that really left a very strong impression in me, in the sense that, you know, if I was to do something publicly, I would use the opportunity to discuss these issues, and it's always very important for me, but always brings me a lot of hate as well.
Yeah. I mean, of course, there is like that's a wonderful thing to realize, that every group has like a lot of different kinds of people, and nobody, just like one person, can be a representative of the whole group, of course. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't see myself as, you know, I don't see myself as talking for trans people or, you know, being a spokesperson for trans people, because, well, most of my audience is made of trans people themselves, you know. And secondly, I come from my own experience, and at the end of the day, I still do art, which is always very personal. And although, of course, the personal is political, and the things I choose to say in my comics stem from, you know, a political choice to highlight certain things above others. I don't see myself, you know, I don't see myself, what's the word, self-censoring myself to please, you know, the majority of the group, for example. I still want to use these comics to express myself, first and foremost. And even though, you know, my comics are far-reaching, talking about millions of people weekly, it's very important for me to keep that outlet, you know, free for me.
Yeah, and I assume you have had this problem, because like I have seen this happen to a lot of people who are of some minority, like you are a trans person, and when you reach that like certain point that your audience grows very big, people will be like, you are now a representative of trans ideology or like whatever it is, like, and like that's what you just said, like you are representative of your own art and not like some like I will now speak for all the trans in the world.
Yes, and I think it's important to realize that that's art. It's not just, you know, a company that paid for that paid to have that out there, or it's not the work of the community. It's just my own work, and I can't help that, you know. At the end of the day, I cannot speak for other experiences, and that would be even more problematic. And also, you know, it's not it isn't funded by, you know, organizations. It's just my own ideas that I put on the internet, and yeah, people often forget that. I feel like they just expect my work to be just representing the whole trans experience. You know, like I often get messages that are like, you know, you write assigned male, when are you gonna make assigned female? And I'm like, that's not my job. That's the opposite of what I'm trying to do.
And that happens to like, everyone who has like more than 1,000 followers. I think that's like people always assume that this is now a big thing. Like this is now a big organization because there is 10,000 followers. But it's still one person, just one person doing one person's amount of work. So yeah, I
get about 1,000 comments on Facebook alone per day.
Yeah,
and so there's a point where I cannot moderate. You know, I'm gonna scroll quite to be everything at once, as if I was even being paid to do that.
Yeah. But you are an entrepreneur, right? I mean, that's basically what you are, because you do everything by yourself. You are not getting paid by any like corporate thing. You are like self-employed, basically entrepreneur. I mean, entrepreneur sounds like someone who has started a Facebook or something. When you say yrittäjä in Finnish, which is basically translates into the trier, which is the word for entrepreneur in Finnish. Finnish people will be like, oh, this is, Sophie is totally an entrepreneur, I mean yrittäjä, but like...
Oh my god.
Yeah, like entrepreneur sounds like something way bigger than what it is.
So I'm terrible with numbers. Like, I hate, it just gives me so much anxiety to sit down and do, you know, accountability and like stuff like that. And I'm terrible at it, or at keeping up with numbers and stuff like that. And so a trier sounds very...
Yeah, because it doesn't mean that you have to succeed. Entrepreneur sounds like someone who is successful. Right. A trier, I like it. I want to be a trier. That's what I am. Yeah. Try as many times. I mean, that's what you did with your webcomic. You tried as many times as it like took, and then it started taking off. Yeah. So, but like about the things that you talk about in your comics, your comics are very much about like real life issues. And how do you feel? Like, do you feel that comics can actually like affect the way the world works? Like, can you make a change with comics?
Well, you know, the thing, the concept that I brought forward in my comics and at the very beginning that made it go viral, the first couple of times, you know, in the first couple of months, it was my thing, you know, it was what the comic stood for. And back in 2014, you know, it was a big deal to say that, you know, trans people owned their bodies, and that there's no such thing as a male body or a female body, like I see it much more frequently in my everyday, you know, wanders through the internet, people are just owning to that idea that you know, if I'm a girl, I have a girl's body and things like that, and so in that regard, you know, the comics I've made about it seem to have reached way outside of my circle, and it's something, you know, that I didn't invent that. You know, it's something that I became certain of through my activism, and that I just, you know, decided to express in my comics, and to see how effectively it reached wider audiences really paved the way for me to, you know, keep pushing for more acceptance, and I mean, trans people's acceptance of themselves, basically. No, not this might sound weird, but what I mean is that you know, before the trans tipping point, that was in 2014. You remember Laverne Cox made the cover of Time, and it was a big year for trans rights. And before that, you know, every time there was media appearances, you know, we were kind of forced to, you know, just play victim and just showcase our distress over our bodies, and the media were heavily focused on surgeries and hormones, and I feel that the comics I've been making just mostly came at the right moment in the right place. But other than that, you know, I get messages, I get so many messages from people that decided to come out after reading my comics, and that's always so weird to me, you know, because, well, especially in 2020, you know, I haven't seen any of my readers this year. Usually I do tours, and it helps, you know, putting actual faces on my readers, but now I haven't done any touring or speaking engagement since early March, and it feels so weird. I feel like, you know, I'm drawing comics, putting them online, and, you know, it just gets swallowed by the void of the internet without any retribution, but yeah, that's why it's always weird for me when people tell me that kind of stuff. But early on, I decided to make one of the main characters in my comics this gender non-conforming kid who basically didn't have any specific idea of who they were, because it's a message that's hammered into media that trans people know exactly who they are to a T, like from the moment they are out of the womb, you know. And it's just so silly to me, because it just annihilate any attempt to explore our gender expression, who we are in general, and yeah, people relate to that a lot, and I think it's the mix between that character, Ciel in the comic, who, you know, goes by different pronouns depending on the year, basically, and has very dramatic haircut changes in the comics as well, and the fact that the other main character is this very assertive trans girl who just don't give a shit about authority and is just constantly talking back towards, you know, adults and media, and it was a way for me to empower myself, to see these characters being reflected in comics. And since, you know, comics are helping myself, I kind of get why they would help other people.
Yeah, and I understand that as well. I mean, that's how it is. I'm glad that you have also brought this like idea forward with comics as well, because it's important to have like different kind of mediums bring the same point forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, comics don't have to cure everything, but comics can help.
Comics are pretty cool.
Yeah, comics are. They are making a huge change in the world. You have also done a lot of like organizing work and like organizing like different kinds of like anthologies or like projects where there's like other trans people, other like queer people involved. What kind of projects have you done? Like you can like tell about your favorite ones because there's probably too many to. Like, I can show one of them, which I have here in my own bookcase. This is called Lisää oma värisi sateenkaareen, which is a coloring book, which has multiple different queer people who have drawn different kinds of art. I don't know if that is visible on the camera at all, but I have also drawn here. I accidentally opened that. I totally didn't plan on this. But yeah.
Can you read the page that you made?
Yes.
What does it say?
They all have like a picture, and then they have a little bit of a text, and this one says, Fabian pyysi parasta kaveriaan Jakobia parikseen koulun tanssiaisiin. Vaikka hän on enemmän kiinnostunut tytöistä, Jakob suostui, koska Fabian on tosi hyvä tanssimaan. So that's the beautiful. It has like these short little queer stories and beautiful illustrations that people can color themselves. So that was a good example of projects done together with other people.
That was awesome to make. It just came together so well. That happened in 2017. It is one of my favorite collab projects that I put together. I basically wrote the whole thing and illustrated maybe like 70% of the book, but then I asked a dozen of artists, trans and queer artists that I knew to just, you know, draw a page, pick one of the page's themes and make a drawing of your choice on it. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I loved just, you know, getting people to network. Did you stay in touch with a couple of people from the book?
Oh yeah. I stayed in touch with a couple of French people from the book, and also just very recently, I think it was in like at the end of last year, I got some person from like a LGBT organization in Germany who contacted me because they had seen my artwork in that book.
That is so cool.
They asked for an illustration, paid work, for a poster. So like things like that, like it happened like 2019.
You didn't tell me that.
I had totally forgotten about that, but now I'm telling you.
That is so cool.
Yeah, like things like this happen because of projects that people do together. So like it actually like benefits other people as well. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, and right now I'm working on my biggest collab project to date, which is to get a comic book out in about 25 different languages at the same time. And so it's trans people who reached out to me that so that you know, they could help translate this comic book project that is gonna come out in a couple of months. And so yeah, it's there's about 150 people involved in different, you know, for different languages. There's about 10 or 12 people for each language, and they're working together to bring these comics in different languages other than English or French or Finnish. But Finnish is part of the project.
I was already like, I'm ready to fight.
No, Finnish is totally gonna happen. I'm very excited about it. I didn't work on the translation, although my Finnish is not so bad now. I've been working on it very.
Yeah, I heard that when the Duolingo started the Finnish courses, you are there like kärppänä paikalla, like sairaan nopea, just like instantly they're like, I'm gonna learn this language now.
I just needed an angry owl to keep me up to task, you know.
Just like knocking on your window. Are you learning Finnish?
So yeah, that's I mostly since my comics became a big thing, I started doing tours. Started getting invitations to speak to different organizations in different countries. I toured most countries in Europe, for example, some countries in Oceania, Asia, and Africa even. I was supposed to be in South America this fall, but it's not happening.
You have to just like accept that you are only going to see Finnish people for a really long time.
Or Estonians.
Oh yeah, that's
or
also
Estonians.
Yeah. I mean, the Helsinki region is a very multicultural region, so you will probably see a lot of interesting people that you must only look through a mask and not talk to them.
But what I meant to say is that through the years with the comics that I've been making, I've also had the side effect of making me meet all these people from different horizons and who are doing important work in their communities, and now to see all these people just willing to give a hand to make these comics available to other populations is just so great to see how people are just willing to get together like that and create something new. And I've also been learning so much through these encounters and this project of mass translating a comic has really opened my eyes on how much activism differs depending on the language. You're not gonna talk about the same issues depending on your language. And I mean, I as someone whose first language is French, I was already aware of that, but I've been learning a lot lately on how it differs for other languages. For example, it's very hard to get misgendered in Finnish.
It is. Like, that's like every time I leave this country, I'm like, is this how life is? Jotkut ihmiset elää tälleen joka päivä. Just like, how can this happen? This is horrifying. Like in Finland, it's so easy. But that's also like one thing in Finland. I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, does this person see me as a guy or as a girl, because I have no idea if I pass, kind of like.
Right. And for example, in French, you can misgender yourself by speaking in the first person, while that's impossible in English because him, her, are only it's only if somebody's talking about you that you can get misgendered basically, unless they use terms like sir or lady. But in French you can misgender yourself in your own head. It's weird. It's really weird. And it also impacts the grammar impacts the things you're going to discuss, because for example in French there's 1,000 ways to show gender in a sentence. There's no easy way out, like in Spanish, for example, where O indicates masculine and A indicates feminine. They can come up with like general, broad suggestions to make it gender neutral, but that's impossible in French. And so the discussions we have inside our communities are very different from a language to another, and I've seen that happen a lot through the different translating groups that I'm coordinating.
That's one of the interesting things of doing a very, very international project.
Oh yeah.
Like so many different ways of doing things.
And also the issues that are at the forefront of media, for example, are very different. For example, there's been some adaptations of comics to fit. I'm thinking of this Czech group that are translating towards the Czech language, and there's this one comic that was talking about a specific aspect of media representation, and so now it's gonna talk about something completely different, because that's what they've been talking about in the media in Czech Republic.
Yeah, well, that's an extremely interesting project, and I would really love to, like, maybe next year have an interview about like basically only that part of the because that's like a whole new we need an hour to discuss only like that project, because that sounds absolutely like wow. How do I put this in words other than that, like extremely interesting.
And linguistic is kind of my special interest. I did my college in literature in movement. That's what the program was called. Where it was basically a mix of literature and linguistic and also cinema.
Yeah.
Probably it's my retirement project to go study linguistics.
That's wonderful. I mean, now you're already working with the Duolingo owl, so you have like more languages to choose from and so on.
I'm working with Duolingo owl.
You have a project together with the Duolingo.
It's a collab.
Collaboration to get Sophie to talk Finnish. All right. Next up, we will do something extremely interesting, because if you are watching the stream, hopefully you might be also watching this later on, but there is a super duper very special epic comics quiz show coming later this evening, hosted by P. Antonen, and we will have some wonderful prizes for the winners. These are the prizes. One of the books is we actually mentioned two of these, but here you see them. And they will all be signed by Sophie. So I will give these to Sophie, and Sophie will sign them. Here's this one. What kind of a pen do you want? Here's like these ones. And then, because of the signature, you will now, if you choose to join the beautiful quiz show, you might gain something extremely personalized and extremely rare items.
So in the first one I'm gonna write stay hydrated.
Oh yeah, that's extremely good advice for whoever gets this comic. So try to win the prize from the beautiful I have to every time check this super duper very special epic comics quiz show.
Here I'm gonna draw a rubber chicken.
That's beautiful also. This is you will be surprised which one you win if you win one of the three prizes. And also I will remind all of the viewers who are watching the stream during the Zinefest and not afterwards, that we will also be having a beautiful Discord group where you can join. The link and everything will be found on Zinefest social medias and such. and feel free to join there, because there will also be a wonderful show called Vain sarjakuvaelämää. If you have seen Vain elämää, where the people sing each other's songs, like there's Anssi Kela singing a song by Virve Rosti, and then they all cry. That's basically it, but with comics. It's a beautiful programming that we have. It's like a parody of this wonderful TV show. And what's going to be in the last one?
Stay fresh.
Stay fresh. That's wonderful. So now you know what all of the prizes are for.
Oh no, you didn't mention the stickers.
Oh, you will also get some other stuff. You will also get some stickers and such, but they are a surprise. And
I've ruined the surprise.
no, they are like I'm not gonna show what they are, but you will see them.
And see, when I brought these comics for the contest, I specifically chose like 3 primary colors.
Oh, that's beautiful.
They go together.
Yeah. They look beautiful, both separate and together.
Mm-hmm.
This is the point where in normal programming, when if we would be in a Zine Fest, or we are in Zine Fest, totally, this is a Zine Fest, but like if we would have an audience, we would have like audience questions. But instead of audience questions, I'm going to ask you some Finnish related questions.
Okay.
So now, like,
I'm ready.
because we don't have like an audience asking you stuff, so we're just gonna pretend that our audience is completely Finnish, and that's why I'm going to ask you some of the questions that are most important to us Finnish. Like, which Finnish meme is your favorite meme?
Probably the let's meet at the town square.
Oh yeah, Toilla tavataan.
Yeah,
that's a really
I say that a lot.
That's a really good one. Yeah, I appreciate that choice of
yeah.
meme.
Me and my husband make reference to tonnin seteli a bit too much.
Yeah, tonnin seteli is also a very good one.
Yeah, I think that's my
Those
favorite.
are I think that's a very like high class favorites. They are like
very cultured.
classics and like yeah, you have a refined taste. Person of culture is here. The other thing that we have to ask is like, what is your favorite kind of like Finland specific food item?
Finland specific food item.
Yeah.
Probably a mustikka.
Yeah, mustikka. That's it's bilberry. That's a really good one. Great choice as well. So you're more into like fresh produce type of.
Yeah, I like them. I like picking them.
Oh yeah.
I like the whole berry picking culture in Finland.
Oh yeah, that's wonderful.
That's great. I also like the weird obsession Finnish people have with halloumi. I've never seen that elsewhere.
All right, I didn't know that we have a weird obsession.
Yeah,
but I think it's just that we love milk, and halloumi is also like milk-related product. So I think that's the reason why we are like obsessed with that one as well. And the last one that I'm going to ask is your favorite Finnish music.
I've been listening to a lot of Ultrabra recently. So that's I have most of their CDs. They're hard to come by though. Yeah, I still collect CDs, which is weird for Finland apparently. But
yeah, people are just listening to Spotify.
Ultrabra isn't on Spotify.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
Yeah. So you need the CDs and
yeah.
So now everybody knows what to give you as a fan present, and soon you will have like all of the multiple copies of all of the Ultrabra CDs.
Yes. I've also been listening to a lot of Disney soundtrack in Finnish.
Ah, yeah.
Because that's one of the rare things that I can find that I know the lyrics in English, I know what they mean, so I can listen to the Finnish version and understand what's going on.
I mean, that might be like, I think the Duolingo owl is also pleased with that.
It's
just like rubbing his hands. Learn.
I can sleep at peace now.
Yeah.
Without the Duolingo owl,
knocking on
threatening.
the window. Yeah, that's true. All right, I think we have now used up all of the time that we have. We have a beautiful programming that is totally happening in the Zinefest day and not some weeks before that. Now I have a perfect opportunity to go spoil the whole programming in Twitter or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could do that too.
Yeah.
Ruin like all the punches.
Yeah, all of the like spoilers for everything. Sophie was actually a cartoonist all the time.
What?
That's a spoiler. Anyways, thank you for being in Zinefest stream and seeing everything that's going on. I hope you have enjoyed all of the other programming as well. And if you want to say something to the beautiful Zinefest audience, which is one camera right now, but other people will end up seeing this at some point.
Okay, can I go closer so that I feel like I'm speaking to
Yes,
them?
you can speak to them.
I miss you. I hope to see you next year. Apparently I will. You're kind of stuck with me. I'm sorry I am not drawing mangas. I wish I was.
Thank you.